What do you do when someone essentially tells you that your pet project is probably not working? Of course, you fire them. At least, that's what Donald Trump does.
Why did you fire the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Because I think her numbers were wrong. Just like I thought her numbers were wrong before the election. Days before the election, she came out with these beautiful numbers for Kamala. I guess Biden/Kamala. And she came out with these beautiful numbers trying to get somebody else elected. Then right after the election, I think on the 15th, November 15th, she had an $800,000 or $900,000 massive reduction. Said she made a mistake.
Without any evidence whatsoever, Trump fired the head of the Labor Statistics Bureau, saying her numbers in the U.S. jobs report were wrong. Here's what the report pointed out. A mere 73,000 jobs were added in July 2025, much lower than expected. Economists generally think the U.S. economy needs to add about 80,000 to 1 lakh jobs a month to keep up with population growth. The unemployment rate in the world's largest economy jumped from 4.1 to 4.2%. Economists were stunned at the numbers, with many saying this showed just how fast the labor market was deteriorating, that it may just signal an incoming small recession, and most of all, that this was the result of the trade war Trump has imposed on the world, which might be stifling hiring.
What really grabs you by the throat here is that we had downward revisions for payrolls, making for a total loss of 258,000 jobs in May and June. The question really is, are tariffs, the uncertainty and certainty of tariffs in the economy really prompting employers to hit the pause button? And you have to say that's what's been happening over the past several months now. You know, essentially, the effective tariff rate for the U.S. economy, or for us right now, is the highest since before the Great Depression. And so that appears to be a tool in the president's toolbox, which is not going to change. So what I would say is that we should brace ourselves for slowing growth. A Bankrate survey of private economists had indicated the risk of a recession over the next 12 months is about 1 in 3.
Some have even called the tariffs ridiculous. But even as everyone expresses concern over the big downward revisions, the White House continues to defend the labor officials' firing.
I think that the underlying strength is the headline for me. The big downward revision is something of a puzzle. I don't think it was explained very well. And I think that markets might be as much unsettled by the fact that the data are so noisy. So imagine if the revision in the data, so the correction of errors, is 5 times bigger than the number itself. Then that makes you wonder, well, can I believe this number at all? And I think that that's actually something that needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed fast.
There have been a number of fallouts from this report. There was a sell-off in the stock market after the data was made public. It knocked the stuffing out of the US dollar, and economists wondered whether this would lead the Fed to finally cut rates in the next policy announcement. Also, the latest US payroll data has painted a worrying picture for foreign workers too, and for US industries that depend on foreign labor, at a time when there's a crackdown on immigrants and processes have gotten stricter. As per analysts, foreign-born labor force has shrunk by 735,000 since January 2025. A broader dataset indicates an even deeper dent. About 1.7 million immigrant workers who held jobs at the start of the year are no longer on U.S. payrolls. Only 73,000 positions were added last month, while revisions wiped out 258,000 jobs previously reported for May and June. Roughly 1.2 million of those layoffs occurred between January and July, a period that coincides with Trump's return. Economists say the slide reflects more than just tariffs impacting businesses. They point squarely to the administration's tougher stance on immigration, aggressive IC workplace raids, and renewal hurdles for H-1B and other visas. The anti-immigrant rhetoric that helped Trump return to power is now reflecting in America's workforce reality. Native-born employment is still climbing, up 1.99 million jobs between July 2024 and July 2025, yet immigrant employment fell 1.4%, or about 452,000 jobs, in the same span. Economist Mark Regetz says that, so long as we have negative net immigration, we will not be able to have much employment growth. The problem with low unemployment with no employment growth is that it becomes much harder to pay our debts or keep our promises, Social Security, veterans benefits. America's labor market is not yet in free fall, but it is unmistakably tilting against immigrants.
Many of our largest tech companies have reaped the blessings of American freedom while building their factories in China, hiring workers in India, and slashing profits in Ireland. You know that? All the while dismissing and even censoring their fellow citizens right here at home. Under President Trump, those days are over. We need U.S. technology companies to be all in for America. We want you to put America first. You have to do that. That's all we ask.
Unless policy course corrections arrive soon, the cost will be felt on both sides of the Pacific.